I'm ready.
Great. All set.
All right, welcome. We have today Dr. Gerald Napoles, who is the president at North Harris College within the Lone Star Community College System in the Houston, Texas area. And I've known Gerald for quite some time. Gerald, thank you for being here. I'm really looking forward to visiting with you. And we have about 8 questions, and they're pretty open-ended. I just would encourage you to respond in whatever way you want, and we'll take about a half hour to 40 minutes or so for our interview. Gerald, why don't we start off with just a little qualifier so our students understand your background a little bit. You've been a president for a few years, and this is spring of 2018, and how long have you been a community college president?
So this is the second semester of my third year. I started in my role as president in July of 2015, July 1st of 2015. So almost 3 years.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how your career progressed to a community college presidency.
Okay. So I've been serving as president of Lone Star College for 3 years. Prior to that, I had experience in Kentucky in numerous roles. I was most recently senior vice president of student organizational success, responsible for student services, for institutional effectiveness. I was the SAC COC liaison, but I was also the vice president of student services, and I had the good fortune to start off in Kentucky as dean of learner outreach and assistant to the president for a young Dr. Alan Gobin. And living in the mountains of and working in the mountains of eastern Kentucky in the Appalachian Mountains, I think I gained some of the most valuable experiences prior to moving to Kentucky. I worked in Dallas for 6 years. I worked in Austin for a couple of years, and I also worked for less than a year in Los Angeles. And wherever I went, the people ultimately were the same. They wanted a better quality of life. They wanted better things for their families, and education is a way to reach that. I have a PhD in educational administration from the University of Texas at Austin, a master's in gerontology from the University of North Texas, a bachelor's in sociology from Sam Houston State University. But I'm so proud that I started my educational career, like Dr. Grobman, at a community college, Richland College, part of the Dallas County Community College District.
Yeah, I always thought it was funny that your master's degree is in gerontology, and yet you became a college president at what were you, about 36 years old or something like that?
Yes, I was offered the job at 36, and then I waited about 4 months so I could finish my term in Kentucky, and so I started a couple of months after I turned 37.
Yeah, fantastic.
I'm
Well,
60.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm 60 now.
Yeah, in dog years, right?
In
So,
president years.
president years, they certainly add up. So, let's talk a little bit about your style and your approach. What approach do you use that you would describe as transformational leadership, and how is that different than transactional leadership styles?
Okay, well, thank you for that question, because I think it's very important to focus on the people is, I think, the best thing that we can do so that we serve our students, we serve our communities, but we have to make sure that we have the right team. And so when you look at a transactional process, if you go to a grocery store and then you figure out that you want something, say you go to Target, you end up, most people do, my wife does, with more things than you thought you were coming out with that wonderful Target journey. And then when you swipe your card or you insert that chip, you're trying to figure out what you wanted, and then everything is complete at that point. And so life is not that easy, especially when you have the responsibility and the privilege to work in education. So the transformative stuff, I think, is more valuable, and where you just don't focus on the moment, but you focus on the things leading up to that moment. So we talked about purchasing those things at Target. Why do some people, and I worked at Target for a year and a half, I was in an executive training program with Target, why do people come out with more things at Target than they they thought they were going in for, because the lights are wonderful, the shelves are properly stocked and well presented, and you feel good about going into that store. And so when you see things that say, hey, there's a value here, you're not only addressing what somebody wants, but you're also addressing their senses. And so in education, specifically at Lone Star College, North Harris, when I talk with people, we are all focused on making sure that students are successful. And I always say I'm a big believer in student success, but I also say in order for students to be more successful, we have to make sure that our coworkers, our colleagues, have the resources they need. And so we need to make sure that as a person in the role of a supervisor or a president, that we grow a person. And it's more than just that one individual moment. It's about making sure that they have the skills to be successful when they say thank you to a customer, or when they're behind a desk helping a student advise and figure out what's going on with their career path, or why their financial aid is not ready, or when their financial aid is going to be ready. It's about making sure that people are prepared for any situation. It's just like that proverb about you can give a man a fish, but if you teach him how to fish, it's going to be more beneficial for that person and for that community and for that family. So it's not just one or two items, nothing materialistic. It's about making sure that an individual is well-rounded, that they can help others, but they also know how to help others help themselves.
All right, fantastic. So let's look at a specific broad scale example. How are you addressing a move to guided pathways model at your college?
Okay, so we're part of the Texas Pathways program. So we've participated in the conference, I believe it was 3 years ago, and I know the American Association of Community Colleges is very big on pathways. And so as our colleges, we have 6 colleges that are part of Lone Star College, participate, we've identified some champions to make sure that we're moving along, making sure that if a student wants to enroll at a community college, that they know what a clear path is. So what does that look like? If they want to go into sonography, or if they want to transfer, that their courses are available for them to view, that they have an outline, that they know that in the fall of this semester or the spring of that semester that their courses will be there, so they can graduate within a timely period of time. But also, if they want to transfer, then they can work with our advisors here who work with the advisors at the university. And so not only is it earning a credential here, but also transferring to another institution. So that's very big for Lone Star College. Not only do we have 6 colleges, we have about 90,000 credit students. So we want to make sure that our students are successful. And we define success in many different ways, but we also measure success through the number of credentials and the number of transfer students. But we want to make sure that we have a balance to make sure what, A, we know what the students want, and then B, that we provide that clear way with proper classes, with the schedule, so that students can reach their goals.
Yeah, and it's really interesting with the pathways model that a lot of colleges don't realize how comprehensive this concept really is. They get a little piece of it and they start implementing it. And one of the things I've noticed is that the really small colleges struggle because they're just time constrained and resource constrained, and they have a lot of those issues to try to do a large scale transformative effort like pathways. And then conversely, the very, very large colleges like Lone Star system, multi-campus, and they have so many moving parts that these things tend to take a long, long time. It really takes a mountain of effort to move an organization of that size. So today, in 2018, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much progress do you believe your college has made toward a comprehensive and well-structured guided pathways model?
Well, so I would lean towards more than 6, around 7 or 8. And the reason I say that is because we've been participating in the Texas Pathways conversation for at least 3 years. Our chancellor, Dr. Stephen C. Head, used to be the president of Lone Star College North Harris, but he also served as president at two of the other colleges. And so we wanted to always make sure that when students enrolled at our school, that they would have a way out, and that was the way that they choose, whether it was a transfer opportunity or a opportunity to earn a certificate or an associate's degree. I think we're doing really well because we have not only the 6 colleges well represented, we're working with our system office. So it's not just the faculty, it's just not the president, it's not the advisor sitting behind the desk. We're working with our OTS, which is our technology solutions, to make sure that our PeopleSoft, are you still there? Okay,
Yes.
sorry, the screen went down. So we're working with our technology group to make sure that when students use their self-service, that they can access the information and that there are no roadblocks to that. We're working with our marketing to make sure that our websites and our brochures and our catalogs have the information clearly stated. We're working with our workforce to make sure that we have the pamphlets. And at Lone Star College North Harris, we have these big banners that tell you where all the programs are at all the different colleges and whether they're available in the formats of certificates or associate's degrees. So I think we're doing a great job because we're very intentional, we're very committed, we're very focused on making sure that we have a clear path for our students to understand, but also anybody who picks up a piece of paper and wants to figure out if they want to go to school and transfer to Sam Houston or University of Iowa or Iowa State or wherever they go, that they have the information available. And if the information is not as robust as they need, that there's a contact person that they can follow up with.
All right, fantastic. So I'm going to take a little sidebar here for just a moment, and our students in the class that I'm teaching will watch this. And so you just mentioned Iowa and Iowa State, and I'm from Iowa, and our students have done the Learning and Communication Styles workshop. So I want to share with them that I've done this with Dr. Napoles a long, long time ago. I don't know if you remembered or not, but Gerald was a anchor point as a learning communication style #1 and engager. And we've talked in the class, Gerald, about how these little things that happen in a conversation, you can pick up on which style people are. So you personalize that toward my background, knowing I'm from Iowa. You could have cited any university in the country, and being around Houston would have been more natural maybe to say some that are down around there. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out for our students. It's pretty interesting to see that come out.
It's best for you, so that's why I mentioned your alma mater there.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks. So, so back to our questions. We're talking about guided pathways and your efforts there at Lone Star College, and specifically your campus, North Harris. What have been your biggest successes and challenges in your guided pathways efforts?
So I think the big success was being able to have the conversation with all the different areas of the college. And so I have about 16,000 students in the fall, and about 200 full-time faculty and about 200 full-time staff. And if you look at the part-timers and the adjuncts, we have about, keeps on changing, but between 1,100 and 1,300 any given year. And so to have people become involved, and so what we implemented were things that were at the basic level, making sure that people receive emails about conversations, making sure that people had the opportunities to go to different workshops in Bastrop or wherever they were being held in Dallas, but also to give people a chance to give feedback. There are some faculty members in certain disciplines who may not be in favor of doing pathways or doing anything that administration or somebody else tells them. But what we said was, this is not about an edict, this is not about a command, this is what can we do to make sure our students are more successful. So we had open, honest conversations, and people really enjoyed that. We didn't say that this is the timeline that we needed to reach X metrics, X goals. This is, what do we need to do to make sure our students are successful, and how would that look like to you? So I was very excited about that. And so we had some departments that at first were very anti whatever new initiative because of mission creep or initiative fatigue, but they realized that we were able to create something that, even though this was an ongoing need, that we were able to create something that represented not only Lone Star College, but also the students at Lone Star College North Harris. And some of the people who were not in support of Pathways were the earlier adapters to it and our biggest champions. Some of the challenge is our focus on the fact that we are a big college, not just North Harris, but all the other 5 colleges in the system office. And so we know that students don't always start straight from high school. We have students have credits from dual credit, early colleges. We have veterans. We have prior learning assessments. We have people who transfer from a 4-year university, the swirlers, the stoppers, the take-a-breakers, the I want to do more with my life. And so we have a lot of different types of students, and to make sure that we have a pathway for all of them. And so many of our students also attend online, also attend some of our other colleges so we needed to make sure that we were all on the same page, whether you were at Lone Star College North Harris or Lone Star College Kingwood or the other colleges, and to make sure that if a student had an issue, that our advisors were sharing the same information, that the quality of information that they were receiving from the faculty were consistent too. So we had some minor challenges moving a big ship the same direction, but I think we've made some really great progress in a short period of time. We're all committed as far as the faculty senate presidents, the president. So how exactly that looks like, we have different versions, but as far as the big puzzle pieces, we're all on the same page.
Yeah. So you had a real curveball also in the middle of this massive effort developing guided pathways. Your area got hit straight on by a large hurricane. And I wonder if you might reflect for a moment just on what did that do, because you had a major region-wide disaster that happened with that hurricane. And what did that do in terms of your leadership approach? What did you have to do to handle that while you're trying to get the day-to-day business done?
Yeah. Well, thanks for the flashback to August. And so I don't know if you can see this. This is our new lapel pin, and I'll try to zoom it in, since I'll answer your question with this. This is our new lapel pin, and the star in the middle is the logo for Lone Star College, and across the top it says Lone Star College North Harris, and on the bottom it says Houston, Texas. And so I want people to know that we are part of a big system. I want people to know that we are Lone Star College North Harris, and I want people to know that collectively we experience something as Texans, as people who live in Houston, Houstonians, but also on the Gulf Coast. So I remember getting a message saying, hey, there could be a hurricane coming, and that we left early that Friday. Well, that hurricane brought in some tornadoes and some rain, so we started school a couple of weeks later, and that was in the fall of 17, and now we're in the spring of 18. We started 2 days later because of some ice in Houston, Texas, and people are asking then, and people are asking now, how are things going? Oh, things are going wonderful. You know, when you survive a hurricane, what else can you say, right? And so that kind of caused us to take a long pause, especially being physically closed for a week and a half, and also to make sure that we were making sure our employees were safe. We did roll calls as often as we could every day. I worked with the chancellor and all the presidents, made sure that we emailed, we called, we texted our employees to find out where they were and if they were safe. Unfortunately, but fortunately, none of the employees here had any long-lasting health issues, but at least 5 of our faculty members lost their homes, and so they're still building them, but more of our students had their vehicles destroyed, had their homes destroyed, had their books flooded. And so as far as leadership, you talked about transformational leadership and transactional leadership. We focused on the people first, making sure people were safe. It wasn't about making sure that we had all the students paid and that we had a certain number of students in the classes. It was to make sure that, hey, are you okay? And if you want to be if you want to be in school, what can we do? And so we had some generous donors. We had somebody donate $1 million to make sure that students had funds to access so they can buy their books or pay for their tuition or buy clothes. We work with a lot of different partnerships. And so focused on pathways, we wanted to make sure that the person was okay. And we found out that because we were back in session, a lot of our students actually enrolled and attended school because it gave them an opportunity to continue with what they wanted to do, get their education, but also give them a chance for a few hours to not think about the devastation in their homes. And so as a leader, we wanted to make sure that people were safe, that people had opportunities, and that they knew where the resources were available. We served, Lone Star College North Harris served as a shelter, one of the first shelters in the region for people who lived down the street. So people were being evacuated by boats. Later, they were being evacuated by helicopters. We had the Texas National Guard here. And so we wanted to make sure that people were okay. And then when we took care of the people, they helped make sure that they brought their friends back, their family members back, and focused on the school. So Hurricane Harvey is still a big learning lesson for Lone Star College. Lone Star College Kingwood, which is about 15 minutes east of me, they had 6 of their 9 buildings were damaged. As a system, we have about, well, so I'll just wrap it up. With Hurricane Harvey, we needed to make sure that we focused on the safety of everyone. We wanted to make sure that our employees were safe and our students were safe and that our facilities were in a condition where people could come and that roads leading to the colleges were fine. One of our colleges suffered $24 million of damages. Collectively, we have $34 million of damage. And so as a leader, it was really important to make sure that we focused on our people, and then we continued with the education. And we realized that a lot of people wanted to continue with their education because it gave them an opportunity to leave their house. It gave them an opportunity to gain the experience and the information they needed to be successful. And we actually had an increase in enrollment in spite of Hurricane Harvey.
So considering the students and your focus on the students, Gerald, what characteristics do you see in contemporary community college students that are noticeable or maybe different than in years past?
Okay, well, we have a wonderful student body here, and so what I've noticed, different from when I was at a community college and also different from when I worked at a couple of community colleges a few years ago, with the access to technology, with all our Wi-Fi spots, with all the different social media, students like to be engaged, and they also like to receive the information in a very timely manner. We have a very young student population, and so our students are also into making sure that they participate in different student organizations, that they're engaged, that they're involved. And so I'm really excited about the fact that we have more of our students that are interested in learning in the classroom, but also participating in activities outside the classroom to become more successful. And then we also have a percentage of our students who are coming in from industry, who are either recently laid off or underemployed or want a new direction. And so most of those students are interested in workforce as well. And so our workforce programs are cohort based. And so there's a very strong work ethic. It's more like a graduate school program where we talk about pathways. They start a program together, they wear uniforms, they take lunch together, they study together, and they continue with the different courses at the same time. So it's very exciting to see where our community college students are now. They're more knowledgeable about the different opportunities with the universities, with the community colleges, with online education. And so I think that they use that information to make sure that they receive the best experience, not only in the teaching and learning, but customer service.
Okay, fantastic. So let's wrap up with a question reflecting on your perspective in leadership. What advice do you have for emerging community college leaders?
Okay, for emerging community college leaders, I believe that the most important thing that that person needs to have is a strong set of values. If you ask me what my values are, I'll share them with you. My faith, my integrity, my family, my service, and education. I share that not to brag or have somebody else believe in something that I believe, but I know who I am. And so I believe as a leader, you should know who you are, where you stand when people are around and when people are not around, and also to have passion for what you do and compassion for the students that you serve and the people that you work with in the communities that we're responsible for, and also have the good fortune to work with. So as an emerging community college leader, you definitely need to know who you are, to have the care for others, to serve our students, but also to have the technical skills. And the technical skills, you'll receive that as you work in different areas. But a very key thing is making sure that we never lose touch with people, and that regardless of your role as an advisor, a manager, a professor, a president, a vice president, a special assistant, that you know that you're part of a bigger team. And people don't see you for the title. They see you, I believe, as somebody who can help them. And so we have the big responsibility of making sure that we can help people.
Okay, that's fantastic. Great way to wrap up.